Welcome everyone to the T.A.C.K.L.E Mental Health Podcast. Today we are talking about teen dating violence with two amazing clinicians, Kennedi Jones and Kiki Porterfield, two case managers in our high schools. If you like this podcast, be sure to check us out by searching RFS T.A.C.K.L E. And if you want to learn more about the services we offer, please visit rfstackle.com. Let's get into it. All right, what's going on, ladies?
Hello.
Very excited to have you both here. Before we get started, we'll just do like a quick little intro of who you are and why you got in this field.
So, hi, my name is Kennedi Jones. I am a clinical case manager at Wade High School. I got into this field for a lot of different reasons, but I feel like mostly to help serve my community. And not just my community, like outsource, but like my family.
I love that.
And like learn resources that can better help me live a healthier life as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Kiki. And I would say I got into this field honestly for myself because I struggle with mental health. So for me, it was kind of like all these tools and resources that I learned and school helped me want to learn and help others. And plus I've always been fascinated with the brain, understanding why people do the things that they do.
Yep.
So this was just a perfect field for me to be so why do you do that?
Yeah,
let's fix that. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah,
I love it. Awesome. Okay, well, as I mentioned, this podcast we are talking about teen dating and violence, right? Ways to avoid it, what to look for, and really on the opposite end, what does a healthy relationship look like for a teen? So we brought both of you in because we know you work directly with our teens in Toledo. So let's just start on that topic. Is violence common in teen relationships?
Yeah. 1.5 million students in high school across the United States experience dating violence. I can fact check that.
Yes. Yeah.
But that is a thing that exists for a lot of different people, a lot of different children across this country. And I'm not even sure what the numbers look like here in Toledo, but violence doesn't always have to be physical violence. And I think that's what a lot of people think when you think violence. It can be psychological, it can be emotional, it can be physical, it can be withholding. So it's not just physical violence that a person can experience, especially a student. And I feel like when kids experience emotional abuse, they may not even recognize it.
Yeah.
I agree. Especially looking at the population that I work with now, seeing these the teens and their relationships, I could definitely say that violence is something that is a lot more. When I was younger in high school, the domestic violence in it was not really as vocal as it is now. Because back then, when there was a girl who was getting beat up by her boyfriend, she would smile and wave and whatever. But now as kids seeing it, they're like, no, this is a problem. We need to address it and get this fixed. So I seeing the difference in how things have changed is very making it more known instead of keeping it closed in.
Yes. So numbers are high, but awareness is rising. Awesome. What do you think the shift of awareness is with this culture?
Honestly, I will say this generation is very outspoken. If they don't like something or they don't agree with something, they don't have no problem with sitting here telling you yeah, no, I don't agree with this. This is not what I want.
Right.
They'll from top to bottom. So that's one thing I really, really love about this generation is that there was things that in our generation where we kept our mouth shut or, what goes on in this house stays in this house. But now seeing kids no, this is a problem and you're not my safe space. So I'm going to go somewhere else. It's the kids are in fight or flight mode right now.
Yeah.
And to whereas for us, we were just like, okay, yeah, we're gonna be okay.
Right.
It's gonna be all right. No, these kids are like, if this is a problem, we about to address it because this is not right.
Yep.
So seeing how kids are more outspoken with it really brings the awareness to a head, I would say.
Yeah.
I agree. I think also social media plays a big part in just like bringing awareness to experiences that people have. So if a child is or a student is experiencing something, they may see something on social media and then go down a rabbit hole of things.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, I feel like this is me. I'm going through this. And it's like relatable, you know? Like
absolutely.
It's something that
it's like I've identified with 3 out of this 5 carousel posts.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think that access to social media is also different in this generation versus generations before.
Yeah.
Because people are going online now and speaking their truth. And I think that that's like bringing awareness.
Yeah. It's like one of the, I don't know, you always hear so much bad rap about, social media and its effect on the youth, which is all true. But these are one of the times where awareness is rising because they have access to, like you're saying, other voices. So it's always that good and that bad that social media provides. I'm always on the fence about it, but yeah.
Same. It's like, I feel like it's good to an extent. Like, we ain't gonna sit here and say it's all great.
Yeah, right. And I'm sure if we did look at the numbers for teens especially, it probably has a little bit more of a negative impact, if not a lot of bit more negative impact. I don't know. I'm not gonna listen. I don't know those facts. Okay, so let's stay on topic. What might be warning signs of a violent partner? And let's specifically think about teens here, because we know, as adults, you change. But yeah, what are warning signs that a partner may become abusive for teens?
I feel like if a kid, certain clients that I've experienced that have gone through this, and just even some personal experience with like friends when we were like teenagers or in high school, just kind of like controlling, like not really wanting you to like hang out with your friends, not really trusting you to go do things like by yourself, wanting to occupy most of your time,
the isolation, right?
That I think that those are some warning signs, maybe not all warning signs, but those are some of the big red flags for maybe your teen relationship is going down a rabbit hole of being toxic. Maybe if your friends and family are mentioning that person is toxic to you, maybe they have an anger issue. I feel like some kids be liking that though, but
I love, well, yeah, yes,
angry. She a little feisty. I'm like,
a little sassy. Yes,
don't get too many of those.
I love that you said that word because, and I'm gonna have you put your microphone a little bit closer to you.
Okay.
Yes, perfect. But I love that you said that word toxic because it's something that like started off you're good. Something that started off, I felt like raising awareness of actual toxic behavior. Now, as you're alluding to, it's getting romanticized. What does toxic mean for teens?
Ooh. I'm gonna have to say, honestly, it goes with that controlling, but it's the phone. Like,
yes,
it's all of my kids' relationship problems literally start because of the phone. Because they feel that they have to, like, in order for me to be okay and you believe what I tell you, I need to see your phone and go through your phone and make sure you're not doing anything. Because I want to protect myself, but I don't trust you. So with that, it's like I tell all my kids, especially when they're talking to me, put your phone down. We don't need that.
Right.
And with the girls, especially, I tell them, when you go looking, you don't go finding.
Right.
Now, you can't get mad upon what you found because look what you did to get into it. But the phone creates that toxicity because they start from there. Then it goes to social media. Then you got your friends backing you up. And then you got this one, that one. Then it's your pride, because a lot of this generation is very prideful. They're not the biggest thing is they don't want to be labeled a fool or get played. Right. So they're going to try to play you before you play them. But in the midst of it, it's creating a whole bunch of negative traits and negative hurt.
And habits.
Habits that, thank you. Yeah. That really brings down who you are as a person, honestly. Because your self-confidence is low. your self-esteem is low, you know, it makes you very vulnerable to your potential abuser, because he's like, well, if I took this, made you feel like this because of a phone, and because you know, got mad because such and such and such texted me and I sent this to this girl, then all I gotta do is just sit here and tell you, like, okay, I'll block that person and you'll be fine, and I'm gonna be acceptable to keep repeating the same stuff.
Yep.
So.
It teaches them how to have leverage over their partner's emotions. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought. What was I thinking with the phones? Oh, going back to what you said about if you go digging for dirt, you're going to find it. I think it's especially important to clarify that when you go in with that mindset, you're going to be upset about something, even if it's something that you shouldn't be, right? Because at the end of the day, if I go through your phone and you're blatantly cheating on me, I deserve to see that. Right. But if I'm going in like, ooh, I know he's sneaky, and it's as simple as a like, right? Now I'm fighting that girl the next week. And that's the type of, you know, I'm sure what you're like trying to get at is like, yeah, if you go in with that mindset of being toxic things are going to happen. Yeah. Any thoughts, Kennedi?
I guess my mind went to a lot of children in high school. They're starting to get into the dating field, and they're developing these toxic or unhealthy habits because of like what they see and what they grow up with. A lot of times they're replicating relationships that they've seen, and many times they've watched their parents be in abusive relationships, and then they're replicating those habits that they've seen. And you mentioned like their self-esteem and their confidence not being there, and somebody kind of making them feel good about those things, and then it's kind of like snatched from them, or always like leveraged. It's always leveraged. Like, I'm not gonna give you that dopamine now if you don't do what I ask you. If you go hang out with your friends, then I'm not gonna give you that attention that you're craving. And I think that that's creating that cycle of unhealthy habits that's creating the violence, because children aren't even realizing, our high school students aren't even realizing that they're in these like cycles where they're like doing it to one another. You know, the girls are doing it to the boys are doing it to the girls, and it's just like the phone is really the
like
source.
It's the whole source of it, because once you take that phone away, everything else is cool, because I'll literally will have a couple in front of me and they'll be sitting there going back and forth, but then when I'll be like, okay, so if the phone's not there, what happened? Oh, well, nothing happened. This is how I felt because of how you reacted towards this. Oh, now we're communicating. Now we're talking about our problems. Now we're identifying what's going on, instead of you sitting here like blaming this whole device and being like, well, I can't trust you because of this phone. I can't trust you because of this. That's why I'm acting like that. No, take that away. Why can't you trust this person? Right. Identify your reason. Okay, so what? They cheated. You're still in the relationship. So what about that relationship is going to like make it worth working on it? Right. You know?
Yep. Yeah. Always
and another thing also too, they're scared. Most of the kids are afraid to start over. That sense of starting over is one thing that I've noticed that kids are really, really, especially the girls, and surprisingly, the boys, the young men.
Yeah, which is so weird, because I feel like that's more of an issue you see later in life when you've been married for 15 years and you don't want to start over, right? What do you guys, where do you like suspect that fear of starting over is coming from?
I would say it starts at home, because a lot of the times when you look at a domestic violence relationship or abusive relationship in general, you pretty much see where it starts at. It starts at home. Yeah. So let's use the boys for example, because that's the main one right now. With the young men, they don't have their mama there. You know, that mother's love connection. They don't have that. Yeah. So now they turn into this girl who is like, oh, I'm gonna give you all of this love and attention that your mama should have gave you. I'm gonna do that to you. But in the same sense, I'm gonna also treat you like this. Oh, I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna down talk you. I'm gonna belittle you. I'm gonna take advantage of that and hold that against you. Like, oh, nobody loves you, but I do. Right. So with that, they start with, well, everything was good at the beginning. Like, that everything was great. We was getting along, Well, we had this one problem. I let it go. No, you should have addressed it then.
Yeah.
Then, okay, nope, we got another problem. No, should have addressed it then. No. So then it's like, I would rather sit here and deal with this person who is not giving me what I need, but giving me what I want.
Right.
Instead of going after somebody who can actually give me what I need and actually embrace that change.
Yeah.
So that's where that fear comes in at, I would say.
Yeah, I don't think kids recognize that though, because like everything is like right here.
Yep.
They can't see the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
They can't see beyond what's going on right now. And I guess like from like personal experience, like being in relationships in high school and not having such great relationships in high school, they do start off great.
Yeah.
And then something happens, you know, life changes for one person or both people. And when you're growing up, when you're a teenager, you don't know how to adjust to those things. You don't know how to communicate. You're learning how to do those things. So sure, somebody is going to belittle or talk down to, because you're processing your own emotions and you don't even know what you're experiencing. Like you're still like learning life.
Yeah.
You're still learning life. And I think that kids get into relationships like an end all be all because maybe a generation before us, people did marry their high school sweethearts. Maybe people did marry their 8th grade sweethearts. Like that is a dated tradition that doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
So, women are in the workforce, okay?
Right. That's right. That's right.
We're out here. We're not at home raising the babies.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that on the weekend.
Yep.
So I just think that, you know, going into a relationship when you're a teenager, of course you want love. Like, who doesn't want love? Like, we love love.
Yeah.
But I think that you're learning how to do that.
Yep.
You don't know how to do that. And I think that's why it requires a support system. Like, when you get into a relationship as a teenager, you need to have trusted adults with healthy relationships in your life, not your friends.
Right.
Trusted adults in your life for you to confide in, to be like, hey, I'm experiencing this in my relationship and I don't know how to handle it. That's when we should be able to go to parents or a mentor or a teacher or somebody as a child to say, hey, I'm experiencing this. And then that's where the adult or, you know, us, where we would come in and be like, hey, that's a red flag. You are a red flag, ma'am, sir.
Yep.
So I think that's where we come in place and we can help provide like that, you know, as the dust settles, we can kind of provide clarity.
That transparency that they're looking for, yeah.
But I don't think we can blame children for being toxic to one another because they are products of their environment.
Absolutely.
And I think that who doesn't want love?
Right.
You know, a child wants love.
Yep.
But I think that, you know, it requires a level of care when getting into a relationship for it to turn into something healthy versus unhealthy. And I don't think that a child is able to recognize because it's here.
Right.
They're still growing.
Yep.
Everything is in their face. They
Absolutely.
can't see the big picture like us. We lived life a little bit more than them.
Yep.
And I used to hate when adults used to tell me that. Now I'm getting old.
I know, like exactly what we were just talking about. Right. Yes.
Kennedy, shut up.
No, for sure. I love that. That's very insightful. And so just like thinking back on my high school experiences, I had a lot of friends who were experiencing violence, but their parents didn't know. And it wasn't necessarily maybe like they were coming home with bruises or anything like that, but they were dealing with psychological and emotional violence. So just from, you know, your guys' experience, at what point usually does a teen relationship turn violent? So we've talked about the phones, we've talked about the arguments, we've talked about the cheating, right? The likes and stuff like that. Is there a common scenario where we see it begins to get violent?
I would say a good example would be play fighting.
Ooh.
Play fighting, you know, it's to all of us, it's innocent. You know, hey, I'm gonna hit you. Oh, you my boyfriend. I'm gonna tap you. You know, like, okay, like that's you know, it's innocent.
Yeah.
But in that instance, when it goes from innocent to serious, when that playful punch turns into a repetitive punch, or that playful love tap turns into like a full-on back slap because of a disagreement or because of this or because of that.
Right.
A lot of times what I notice with kids and even with myself is we know how far to take it.
Right.
You know, like we know how far we can push someone before we go to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
So when it gets to physical, your abuser or that abuser knows, hey, I know exactly how far to push her before I can get ready to do what I need to do. Or I'm exactly know how far to push him before I get him to react how I want him to react.
Right.
So it gets to like that playful stage to, I know what buttons to push. Yep. I see exactly how you react towards that. So it's like that once you get past the playful to, okay, I know what buttons to push, that's when you know it's going to another level.
I love that.
Yeah, I also think when a person starts to do stuff out of spite, that's when something becomes vindictive. When maybe somebody has hurt you, you know, and or it doesn't even have to be that person.
Yeah.
Maybe you've been hurt, like emotionally, and now you're doing things to your partner like out of spite.
Yeah.
Maybe you got a bad grade on a test, and you are so stressed out about things going on at work and at home, and your partner's not answering the phone. They're at school. Why are you calling them during the school day?
Right.
Of course they're not going to answer. They're trying to learn. And now you're being spiteful, which is now causing stress to your partner. Now you're being toxic, calling them over and over and over and over and over. And things like that, or withholding. You know, maybe you had an argument, but the dust has settled and now you're not talking to them, but you still want to be with them, and maybe they want to go to a big dance or something with you, and now you're just like, nope, I don't want to go. I'm not buying tickets. Like, that's hurtful.
Yeah.
That's hurtful. And that is a part of like violence.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing that out of spite to like hurt them.
Right.
And I think that is when we start to see like teen violence showing up in like the dating realm, is when kids are doing things to one another to like hurt each other.
Yeah.
Maybe they're hurt and then they're trying to hurt their partner.
Right.
Hurt people.
Yeah. So I think that's like when that's showing up.
Love it. All right. So we touched on this a little bit, but what other forms of violence are there outside of physical, and what do those look like?
Honestly, emotional, psychological, it's those ones kind of like umbrella whatever like else can follow underneath it, because I'll speak for myself, you know, someone who has been in a relationship that was psychological abuse. You go to a spot where you like isolate yourself so much that you realize you don't even know that you did it. Right. And you don't even know the abuse, because you're just like, okay, this person says they love me, so I'm gonna still be here.
Right.
But even though they're talking down on me, they still love me. Everyone else is like, no, that everyone else isn't right. So with all of that, it starts there, and then you got your physical, your emotional, mental, and all that to fall underneath.
Yeah. Anything to add, Kennedi?
Not, I guess, a category, but like I feel like there's social media.
Yeah. Like
things on social media. I feel like that's like not a category, but like relevant.
It definitely should be, because you have things like revenge porn. Right? Revenge that we see porn. So much with our teens. Absolutely.
And I think that's a whole category and to digest.
Yeah.
But I think just like the internet and social media is a whole thing that is additional to psychological, mental, emotional, physical abuse that somebody can go through. Yeah. Even sexual abuse.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not something that's really talked about as much, but teens can go through sexual abuse where their partner is forcing them to have sex, and maybe they're not ready to have sex, but guilt tripping them into sex or even foreplay, and I think that's like very inappropriate.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
that's a whole nother topic in itself. Sexual abuse. We need to mark that down. Whatever month that is, we need to highlight a lot. So thank you for bringing that up. So the next question I have is, we got a few more minutes here. When a teen has identified that they are in an abusive relationship, how do they go about discussing that with their partner? Is it something
yeah.
they should do alone, or is it as a young person? Is it something that they should seek help with?
I feel like if a teen recognizes that they're in an abusive relationship, and if they feel unsafe, they should definitely talk to their partner with someone.
Mhm.
Actually, they should get out. They should get out of the vicinity.
Yeah.
If like a situation is dangerous, they should not be occupying the same space anymore with that person. Or any violent situation, you should get out first.
Yeah.
But if they feel safe enough to be in the same room or same space as their partner,
Mhm.
I think that, they should talk about boundaries
Yeah.
with their partner. I think you can go about talking about those things with a licensed or unlicensed professional like
Yep.
ourselves about certain things
Mhm.
and get advice. Even the school nurse will have advice, or the health teacher.
Yeah.
I think those are great people to get advice about how to have a conversation about boundaries and how you're feeling
Absolutely.
just on the surface. And if that conversation doesn't go over how you want it as a teenager, then I think you should definitely bring in like
A mediator.
Yeah, a
essentially.
mediator.
Yeah.
And this could be a friend, a
Mhm.
mutual friend. This can be a family member that's maybe around your age. Sometimes when you bring in adults that know you, but like if you bring in your mom's gonna be on your side.
Yeah,
just
right,
let
right,
you know.
right. They're not gonna
But-
see no bad in baby
Okay,
girl.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're at the same school, maybe bring in your guidance counselor or the school nurse
Yeah.
or somebody mutual in your community that doesn't really have ties to either of you. I think
Mm.
that could be a good way of going about talking to your partner if you're trying to fix your relationship
Right.
and you want to maintain safety.
Yeah.
Honestly, what she said
Yeah.
is like
Times
right,
two.
Right, times two, right on the head on the nail. Like definitely getting the reach out to who you feel comfortable with talking to. And when it comes to setting those boundaries, what I tell my kids is write it down. Get your like thoughts together first. Like put the
So sorry.
emotions aside and focus on what's really going on, like your real rationalized problems and like I can't speak English. What was it? Logically thinking about what's going on and writing it out, so that way when you do go and confront your partner about this, you're able to stay on track and not get so worked up, because it's going to be a
Mhm.
heated conversation.
Yep.
It is going to be uncomfortable, and even at times who knows whatever decision you make after that is your decision.
Yeah.
No, if your friends and stuff and your family support you, they're gonna be with you whether you stay or whether you leave.
Right.
But you gotta be comfortable within what you're gonna when you go into that situation, so you're able to be like, okay, this is what I am want to set down as a boundary. This is what we're gonna do about it, and set boundaries, not dotted lines. Because we set dotted lines, set boundaries, and stick on those. And if that person doesn't respect you enough for that, then as much as it gonna hurt, trust and believe it's gonna get better on the other side.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
Yeah. I love that. The dotted line metaphor. That was beautiful. I'm gonna put that one in my arsenal.
Listen, man, my therapist be getting me together.
Yeah,
Don't
shout
set a
out.
dotted line.
Yeah.
Right.
Shout out to your therapist. Okay, so with that being said, what are some common resources teens can utilize if they are in a violent relationship or an uncomfortable relationship that they just need help getting out of?
For like us, I would say definitely utilize T.A.C.K.L.E. Going to someone, whether it is a trusted adult, there's always that one as a kid, as a teenager, there's always that one adult that you're like, that I could feel comfortable telling anything to.
Yeah.
So if that's that one person you want to go to that one person, and that person will direct you on how to move forward. There's a lot of agencies and avenues open to help with protecting minors, and especially in making the confidentiality, keeping you safe and private. So reach out to someone who is who you're comfortable with, a counselor, therapist, whatever. But go to someone who you feel like, okay, they're gonna have my best interest at heart and not negative interest.
Yeah, love that.
Just thinking about high school students or junior high, because technically is like 13 to 18.
Yep.
I would include 19 too.
Mm-hmm.
But
I would include 23.
I'm
Yeah. Are you 23?
No.
Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, so that high school age, that sweet spot, that 8th grade to high school,
Yep.
I think those people, you're going to school if you're not homeschooled.
Mm-hmm.
If you're homeschooled and you're in a domestic violent relationship, there are resources that you can use. This video is one, you know, it's going to be posted publicly.
Absolutely.
So finding resources online through social media, everybody's on TikTok.
Yep.
You know, find your community online and, you know, recognize some patterns that you see in your own relationship, maybe online. And that can kind of help you, I don't know, gauge if this is something that you're actually experiencing or is this in your head.
Yep.
If you're feeling like you're experiencing this, you're probably experiencing it.
Don't gaslight yourself.
Don't gaslight yourself.
No gaslight.
Right.
You gotta be real.
For real. So, additional to that, I would say, again, you know, like school nurses, your guidance counselor. In Toledo Public Schools, we have the Western Partners or
HPOO. Yep.
HPOO. So, that's another resource where there's people, adults that are safe. It can be as confidential as you want it to be. These are people that you can talk to if you are involved in community events, organizations, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Club.
Yep.
If you attend church, the mosque, or any other type of spiritual place, that could be something that you find a person to go talk to, to console you. But, you know, when you're a kid and you're in a relationship that's not healthy, it's important for you to have an adult to go to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be your mom or your dad or your grandma or your auntie or your guardian. It can be another adult, but you should find a trusted adult to talk to.
Yeah.
Because they've experienced life, and I'm pretty sure they've had their heart broke.
Yeah.
There's
because
always one.
It's always one. I mean, like I said, not everybody is living that, like, you know, high school sweetheart life.
Yeah.
So it's important though that a teenager has an adult to go to.
Absolutely.
Any adult that is trusted in the community.
100%. And I think for any teens who are watching this, perhaps it's important to note that the sense of community and the sense of having someone to go to doesn't go away as you get older. We just go to therapy. That's our adult that we go to. But no, it is important to have an ally, someone who understands.
Oh, and you said resources. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, it's 800-799-7233, or you can text START, all caps, to 88788. So 3 warning signs of a domestic violent relationship for teens would be isolation, maybe feeling self-doubt or lack of trust in your relationship, and then also some type of aggression. This could be physical, mental, or emotional aggression.
Yeah.
But you would experience those 3 things from your partner.
Awesome.
Dang.
Do you you want to go?
I'm so here. I'm like, I don't want to repeat.
She took the good ones.
I'm over here like, all right. So she said this one. Okay. All right, here we go.
Do you want a fresh question?
Yeah. She took
Okay. I love that. Okay, so what are 2 ways to reverse romanticize toxic culture?
Ooh. Oh. Okay. What are 2 ways to reverse romanticize toxic culture?
Yep. You can definitely phone a friend too if you want.
Yeah, can I phone a friend?
Yeah. I was thinking you could just ask Kennedi, but
Okay, I got you. So 2 ways to get out of that would be to maybe identify similarities of your relationship with maybe other relationships or other healthy relationships you've seen.
Yeah.
Maybe there's somebody in your community or somebody at school that you see that's in a relationship, maybe comparing your relationship to them.
That one.
And then also
I would say
take away like TV stuff too, because I feel like a lot of times people see things
music
on TV and in music and media just in general, and people try to compare their situations to what they see online, and maybe that's not always true.
Yes. And to add, I would also say,
You can say those things.
well, she said those things. Oh crap! Now I lost my thing. Okay, all right. So it's, that way, and then another one I would also say would be to practice, like, I guess, practice patience. Because like a lot of toxic relations or toxic culture is because everybody's impatient. You know, like everything just is right here, right now.
Yeah.
So if you take your time, you'll be able to really treasure like your relationship and what comes from it, and like something that could actually grow from it instead of, well, ram bam, thank you, ma'am. Like it's a lot.
Right. And it's like, are you in a relationship for the social media posts?
Yeah.
Or are you in a relationship because you actually care about the characteristics and values of this person?
Yeah.
Like, what's the story are you trying to tell behind that picture?
Right.
Like, what is it?
Right.
Because a good example, Blueface and Krishan. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
That is a perfect, good example of toxic culture and like
in the media romanticized.
Yep. 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%.
So, I don't even know why I didn't think of that at first.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect one because it's just all the way around. It's just unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like there's domestic violence, there's emotional, there's a whole bunch that's not right in it. But yet because of the fame, it makes it look cool. But deep down, that person is real hurting.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
And I'm a huge believer in, I've seen it firsthand, how music affects children and our youth and our culture. And from someone who has music industry experience, I just want any teens to know who are listening to this, that is not the way that they live their life. They all have wives. They all have children. And most of the time, they're not even the person writing that lyric. That most toxic lyric that you love, that's in your head, whatever future song you're thinking of, he probably didn't write that. as I was listening to my collection this morning. Anyway, so to wrap this up, let's do, for parents, adults, guardians, what are 2 ways they can check in with their teen to ensure that their relationship is healthy?
Actively listening. Like there's subtle signs that a lot of kids in their relationship that they give, you know, whether it's just them being sad for a second, crying, arguing, whatever. There's little signs and stuff that parents notice. And one thing is like, we want to be able to like shelter them from everything and be like, no, it's I got you. I'm gonna go to battle. No, you gotta allow your child to actually express themselves and tell you like, you know, so-and-so and I are having really bad problems right now and I don't know how to handle it. But that doesn't mean that you go down the like, well, I told you they're no go. No, actually listen and give them an answer that you would want. What would you tell yourself in their shoes at 16, 15? Like, what would you tell them? What did you want to hear when you were crying up late at night because someone went to a dance without you? Like, what did you want to hear in that moment? And that'd be a great way to actually check and see if that relationship is healthy. Like, okay, because if by that could stop and prevent a whole lot more. Right. Than you just sitting here arguing and talking at them.
Absolutely. I think it's really important for guardians, parents, anybody who's older. I mean, even me now, I'm getting them. You know, there's a saying that you can't measure someone else's life by your own yardstick. So yeah, as a parent, it's probably a little hard to find empathy for your baby girl who's crying because she didn't get asked to the dance or whatever when you are worried about a paycheck, right? But like you said, active listening and taking that position of being that kid again, of not knowing any better, of really being hurt because that's the most hurtful thing someone has done to you, right? So like taking a little bit more of like an empathetic listening approach. I love that.
Yeah, I would say doing like group activities, encouraging your child or your youth to do activities with groups, and that can include like you and like your partner or like you and family. But then that teaches them to not always like isolate and do things with their partner, just like one-on-one in their room or in a private space. Like that's kind of just brewing things that shouldn't be going on with young teenagers. They should not be in a private space all the time. I feel like sometimes they need their privacy because maybe they want to talk about that F or I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever they talk about.
Yeah. But I think that, you know, there's you just kind of some type of responsibility of the parent and guardians or the adults in a kid's life to encourage them to do things in group settings. I feel like for myself, being in a toxic relationship when I was in high school and college, start of college, I never learned how to do things with my partner, with like friends and like with family. And that was something I always wished, because when we went to college, I always try to like be friends with his friends, but he always reminded me that those were his friends and not our friends. But we never made friends together. And I feel like in healthy marriages of people that I've seen, they have like, oh, these are my friends and those are her friends, or, you know, whatever. But we also have friends like as a married couple, or, you know, as a couple, we have friends too.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's important for parent guardians to teach their children and their youth that, you know, you should not always do things with your significant other alone. You should also include your friends or their friends, or make friends together.
Absolutely. So it sounds like rule of thumb here is isolation is pretty much a red flag any way around it. Yep. Whether you're isolating together as a couple or whether you're isolating, you know, yourself. Awesome. Any last words from you two? We're wrapping it up.
My last words I would say is, for any relationship, and this even with yourself or with family, friends, is choose. There's always two options you have when it comes to conflict or with anything: wanting to be right and wanting peace. Now, wanting to be right is like, regardless, you know, I don't care what turns out, that could also blow up into something else. You know, you shouldn't say it, but you're going to say it anyway because you want to be right. And choosing peace means I'm just going to let you have it. And I'm going to choose to a different route than to sit here and try to bump heads at you. I'm going to choose to take a step back, actually listen to what you got to say, and actually react the appropriate way instead of just reacting based off emotions. So all my kids say it and they get tired of me saying it. But you want to be right or you want peace. That's all I got to say.
Love it. Any last words from you, Kennedi?
Yeah, I think it's important for kids to learn how to recognize unhealthy dating habits that they have or violence that they're experiencing in their relationships, because if they don't, when they get older, they'll repeat those habits. And if they were the victim, they may become the person, you know, hurting other people. And I think that it's really important for kids to look at things like this video and also things on other social media platforms, just to kind of gauge, you know, things from, okay, we're old, but we know what we're talking about. Like, we've been in relationships. I've had my feelings hurt plenty of times. And I think that, you know, I'm still learning. And I think that I wish I had somebody to get in front of a camera or to talk to me one day about red flags that were happening in my relationship that was an adult, that, you know, didn't have nothing negative to say about me, but just kind of wanted to give me some game, like, move on. There will be more fish in the sea. And I feel like a lot of people say that there's always more fish in the sea, but it's true. Like, if your relationship is hurting you, move on. Like, if you loop back around, you loop back around. But if somebody is hurting you, like, if somebody shows you their true colors, believe them.
I love that. Awesome. All right. Well, that's all we got for today's podcast. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us and giving all your insight and such incredible value. So,
Wow, thanks.
Bye, everyone.